Leslie Meredith with Breakbulk Events and Media, and I'd like to welcome you to the BreakbulkONE show. With me in the studio today, I have Ally Spinu, the CEO and founder of Export Portal. Welcome, Ally.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Good. I'm so glad. We're tackling somewhat of a different topic today, how e-commerce is the future of logistics. So, Ally, as we know, the value of e-commerce is growing. Countries are eager to reap the full benefits, but some, especially those in developing countries, are finding it to be more challenging. Why is that?
Well, there is different barriers that startups and small medium-sized businesses are facing when it comes to underdeveloped countries or developing countries. Some of them are related to the prices, to the bureaucracy that they have to deal with, to infrastructure that is not very well established. So that is some of the barriers that we are aware of.
You mentioned bureaucratic barriers. How could international trade organizations or trade entities help boost cross-border logistics through e-commerce? How might they use that?
Well, first of all, let's derive from the problem that they're having. They do not have that needed infrastructure or needed data and the information to quickly rise up the sales, especially internationally, from small and medium-sized businesses. And in that case, I believe that governments have to partner with existing supply chains and existing platforms, for example, like Export Portal, and create different programs where they would help small and medium-sized businesses export and sell more digitally. Good examples are creating business to government models where businesses will supply certain amount of products to the government, and then government in turn will use established e-commerce ecosystems to be able to sell them internationally. What that will do to the government or to that entity is will allow them to learn the challenges that the small and medium-sized businesses have, because I have traveled the world and I have talked to some of these trade agencies and governments like India and Vietnam, and I have learned that they actually they have no idea what's happening on the marketplace. How do people sell? How do people buy? What kind of challenges they have, because they have lack of data. Everything is monopolized, and that monopoly does not allow the data to flow freely between the low end to the high end, which is government.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you've had these discussions, do you find that the people you're speaking with, the government officials, are open to change?
Yes, there is two parts. Some of them are the ones that actually benefit from the monopoly that exists because they are main players of that monopoly. But there is another side which is actually promoted by the young business owners that are trying to overcome the monopoly and the bureaucracy through registering as businesses in Europe and US, going west in order to be able to operate from their countries but have a legal entity elsewhere. And also the young business owners and young politicians are the ones that promote the e-commerce and the B2B and the logistics development in their own country through the Western platforms.
I see. When you look at these startups in particular and think about building a logistics strategy, perhaps partnering with them to do that, what are the main elements that need to be in that kind of a document or plan?
Well, again, challenges that they faced are because there is a high cost to build your own logistics infrastructure, especially for small and medium-sized businesses. So what we have done at Export Portal is we actually took all of these challenges and we provided a solution that allows our platform to resolve these challenges for them. we are putting together the manufacturers, the buyers and the sellers and the logistics partners all in the same infrastructure, which lowers the cost to those, suppliers in order to go international and use an established infrastructure on the market, such as a export portal marketplace. So some of the things that they have to take care of, going back to your question, is they have to find their proper logistics partners that will be able to facilitate the product that they are selling, because there is multitude of them, dry food, liquid food and so on. So and then also facilitate how easy they fill in the documents, because again, in the developing countries or undeveloped countries, the biggest struggle is to checkmark every requirement the government has, right? So what we do is actually providing that documentation solution that allows a free pass of the documents between the supplier to the manufacturer, back to the logistic company and so on. So some of the elements are finding the proper logistic partner, finding a way of streamlining the documentation, learning from the data, like actually watching the journey of the product going from the manufacturer or from the seller to the buyer. And the data will actually allow them to understand how to shorten the time of transition, because currently it's not the product price is dictated not that much about the raw cost of that product, but actually how long the product took, or what journey the product took to arrive in a good consumable condition to the end user. So the data is the most valuable. So what we provide here at Export Portal is actually generating the data, the raw data, and we are allowing the data to be used by the supplier, by the buyer, by the manufacturer, and by logistic partner.
So why is logistics considered to be the key point of B2B development through e-commerce? And I think a follow-up question there is, we're talking about a digital platform. Is it possible to build strong relationships between parties when it's digital?
Yes, and that's the direction we're going. That's especially past COVID. We learned in a hard way how important are logistics and the transportation and the warehousing, and how important is where is your partner located, what kind of struggles that economy or the country has, right? So it's known that by 2024, 17% of all the e-commerce sales in the world, in US and Europe, will be dominated by the B2B, and this is how important it is to incorporate all the supply chain players into the same ecosystem. So again, they can interchange fast, they can facilitate the transportation faster again, and the data is the most important part here. The more we learn from the data, which is unified in one platform, the easier it is for us to overcome these challenges together. So again, post-pandemic, this has made even more obvious. The ships were stuck in the port, right? And nobody knew how to resolve this problem. Again, yes, it is related to pandemic. Yes, it is related to the shortage of the human beings, right, that were able to process it, and because of the restrictions, right? But at the same time, if that would be a unified platform which will allow them to facilitate that communication faster and the exchange of that communication to be more, more efficient, and the whole process will be monitored from the point of view of, let's say, blockchain, right? Let's talk about blockchain, because blockchain is something big right now in the market, and it is incorporated in the e-commerce as well. So that unification of the data through a blockchain system that allows the facilitation of all the players in the supply chain will allow a better growth, will allow a faster delivery of the product, and will allow tracing the origin of the product from the beginning of the road to the destination. And this is very important. This is where logistics company have to look forward for, right? Right now what happens is the supply chain is divided, let's say, as a cake in 2 layers, right? There is the suppliers, right? And then there is the logistic company. And not all the time that cream that connects those 2 layers of cakes is actually, a very good process of communication. This cake has to become 1 layer cake where the suppliers and the logistics are all merging in one. And we see a lot of big companies like Maersk, right? Maersk?
Yeah. Maersk,
Right.
Absolutely.
They are incorporating blockchain for the same purpose. They want to add the suppliers and the manufacturers into their ecosystem in order to facilitate the communication faster with their logistic solutions, right? Same thing with the export portal. We do apply blockchain in order to integrate all of the partners of the supply chain, although we are not dealing with like Maersk with the corporate side of the supply chain. We are dealing with a small and medium-sized business, but still, that's the direction where logistic companies have to look forward to integrate themselves into ecosystem, into the platforms that allow the connection in between logistics companies and the rest of the parts of the supply chain.
All right. Do you think there needs to be a universal platform so that all members in the supply chain could communicate with each other? Right now, we seem to have a situation where people or companies are developing different products that don't necessarily communicate with each other. Do you think that there's a need for a universal platform, and do you think that will ever happen?
There is a need of standards that will allow the APIs to connect with various platforms. So those standards are being currently developed and continuously developing. Like we see Incoterms, right? Incoterms are, that's the first step of standardizing, right? The industry, right? If we will have the standards that every platform will be able to just jump on and integrate, then there will be no need of something universal. Again, speaking of something universal, we go again to that monopoly, which we should not ever go back to, right? What we should have is a set of standards that will allow the logistics partners to partner with whatever e-commerce platform that they want to partner with on the basis of those standards. That's what we need.
Okay, that's interesting. Is there currently a group that is in place to set those kind of standards like we have with certain environmental certifications? Do you see anything like that, or IP protocol, anything in place, or is this a new body that needs to be brought together?
This is a new body, and we see like UNCTAD, the United Nations Trade Facilitation Organization, is already kind of going into that direction. And as I said, Incoterms being digitalized and being promoted and being enforced in various countries. This is where the market is going, because we realize very soon that this is the only way of making sure that that e-commerce direction that the world is taking is going to be applicable on the inter-country level, right? In order to have the faster, delivery of the product across the border, and not only from major corporations that actually have it all set, but actually from smaller suppliers. We need to have those initiatives that are bigger than just one e-commerce platform, right? We need government support. We need UN support, right? We need big players in the logistics that have the money to be able to sponsor these initiatives. And it's already happening, as I said. UNCTAD is doing that, Incoterms is promoting it and enforcing those rules. And on the flip side, platforms like Export Portal, we are watching this digital transformation, and we are incorporating them into our platforms. We have an initiative of incorporating Incoterms standards into our platform. So again, it's already a project for 2 years that we are doing, but this is where we are going with. In order for us to partner properly as a platform with our logistics partners, we have to incorporate these digital standards that will allow them to operate freely on our platform.
Okay, that is a very ambitious project that you have, and it's exciting. I am wondering, let's see, tell us more about Export Portal and how it actually works. If someone, a small forwarder, let's say, or medium, obviously, was interested in being a part of that platform, how do they do it, and what are the benefits?
Well, we partner with freight forwarders and logistics partners through our platform called EPL. So the way Export Portal is built on the basis of several modules, right? EPL is one of the modules which allows us to partner with various logistics partners around the world. And it is, if I transliterate it, it's the Export Portal Logistics, EPL, right?
Okay.
So what they do is they are registering with us. They need to supply all of the verification documents that they are following and obeying their country rules of being a proper, logistics partner with us. We verify those documents. We are asking them to plug in the origin and destination costs and all of the accommodations that they have in order for us to pair them with the proper transaction on the portal, right? So the way it works, after they are verified and certified on our EPL, then they're going to be receiving through EPL the orders that are matching their requirements for the accommodations that they do. And at that point, after that order comes to EPL, then we are allowing them to integrate through API that order to go into their management system, whatever management system they are using.
Oh, that's interesting. So what do you think, once this really rolls out even further and we get some of these standards in place, what kind of opportunity is there for the developing countries and the entrepreneurs within those when that matures?
Well, several. They will not have to have so many expenses of acquiring a logistic partner in their own and maintaining the cost of human resources and all of these things. They are also cutting the cost of the cost and the time of the product delivery, because that's the biggest challenge right now. Let's say if an average transaction that comes from a developing country to, let's say, to the West, right? It's 90 days. Out of these 90 days, half of it is spent on the communication inefficiency, documentation, verification of this documentation, validity of the company, whether I should transact with them or not, verification of the product quality, right? Dealing on Export Portal and having all the parties of the supply chain, especially for small and medium-sized businesses, is lowering that cost. It's allowing them to communicate freely and allows them to understand that they're already getting into business with a verified partner, not having to restart that verification process in their own. So again, we are creating this mini ecosystem for them to be able to start their trading on the e-commerce platform like ours and not have to invest that much into starting that, right? Because they already have logistics partners that are certified by us. They already have the means of transferring securely the documents, right? They already have the means of executing certain, operations like payment, right? Payment verification, hold of the payment until the product is released, right? And the communication with the logistic partners is also happening within the platform. So it's kind of one place as an ecosystem to trade across all the parties of the supply chain.
And certainly save a lot of time.
Exactly.
Right, and that is
time and the cost, right?
Yeah, time and cost. And I don't think there's a company out there in our industry that doesn't want to save time and money.
Exactly.
Right. So I want to say thank you so much for joining us today. I think we have learned so much, and I wish you all the luck and hope to have you back soon to hear about the next plateau of business.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.